Hello everyone, welcome back to another seminar for EBC. I am Shill Bill. I'm going to go through some of the charts today and sort of try and connect that back to what I'm doing as a trader, manager, breeder, sort of all the hats in one. So we'll start off again like I normally do with BTC because it kind of sets a sentiment for what the whole market's doing in general. So what I'm watching at the moment with BTC, we've had this nice sort of parabolic run. I could probably draw a nice trend line in there. That does look like it's broken at this point. So we've had this nice little run here. We've fallen out of the trend, broken below that blue line, which is the 50 moving average. Tried to get back into trend, fell down, and now we're just hovering around here. Drew some fibs in, sitting around that 23 fib. At the moment, but as you can see here, we're sort of starting to create that first lower high. So not to say that I'm bearish on BTC, but what I'm looking for and where I'm looking to be picking up trades and pretty much the areas of interest for me is always going to be that 38 fib, probably my favorite of fibs. The 618 is always good, but kind of sucks when you get back down there in a bull run. So what I'm looking for is a 38, and it matches up perfectly with this nice level of support. I think if we come back across here on the daily, I think it shows it a bit better. Let's have a look. Yeah, we had that first bit here, had that daily support, and then it sort of became resistance, and we've had a few touches there where it sort of took a while to get through, and before we broke around the 57 mark. So just got some alerts set here to sort of see what happens. Be happy to see BTC walk a bit sideways and give the alts a bit of a turn to have a run. I don't have the dominance chart up in this one. I might have to have a look at that at some point later in the vid. But let's jump into ETH, and we're looking at the BTC pairing for ETH. I did record a video before that I got interrupted halfway, so some of the lines have been pre-drawn into here, sort of what I'm looking at, but I should be able to get through it pretty quickly. So in the last video that we did in the last seminar, we were sort of coming back to this level of support here for ETH against the BTC pairing, and I drew that line in saying, look, I was looking for a bounce. We're starting to get into the oversold, looking for a bounce back up to sort of this area here, and I drew this little box in where you saw all the wicks before where it was support until it finally broke, then turns into resistance, and I was looking for that to hit sort of here somewhere and then continue lower, and that's what we did and just sort of stayed within this channel. However, since then we came back, broke the top of this channel, broke through this level of resistance, and ETH looking pretty good up until about that 0.071. I did post some of these charts in the members area in EBC. I've been a bit quiet for the last week. I've been pretty busy, but I'm going to start putting some charts in, especially when we're hitting levels where we're going to see either rejection or breakthroughs. So this is going to be the one here for ETH that I'm looking for the most. I'm watching this pretty carefully. We've just got the MACD crossing back over, sitting the right way up, starting to get a little bit oversold in the RSI. So what I would love to see here is it come up, touch, reject, have a bit of a cool off, come back down, and we've got this level here. That will be a level of support probably on the hourly, and you can see the same place that this wick came down to here. Come back, hold this level, and then break through, and then start closing above that 0.0718 level, and then obviously back up to that next double top here for another 10%. Now ETH's important because if we're looking at SLP, the price of SLP only holds what it is in the US dollar value depending on what the price of ETH is. So if ETH is completely tanked, the USD price in SLP is most likely going to go with it unless it can beat it in the SLP ETH pairing. And this is the next one that we're going to have a look at. So we'll have a quick look at the USD version of ETH. Again, above that 50 moving average, got the nice golden cross here. Broke through this level of resistance, came back, retested, and waiting for this level here. Should probably have an alert on this one, to be honest, to seeing if ETH can break that next level here, and we start moving on to all-time highs for ETH. So the BTC pairing is probably going to be the thing that pushes it. If this can get up and come back and push through here, you should see that ETH USD pairing start closing above the 43.76 mark. SLP ETH. This is the chart that does my head in every day. just waiting to start taking some profit from my fortnightly sinks. At the moment, putting my, I guess, manager hat on. While this is low and while we're still bearish and can't seem to ever break past this 50 moving average, that was the one I was having a look at in the last video. We finally did get above it, but not for very long. Until we start getting that bullish market structure, at least on the 4 hour, and clear this level, I'm still just going to be using as much of my SLP as I can to expand and make more scholars. So then when this eventually does go bullish, we can start looking at places to take some profit, either back into ETH, which is probably where I'm going to be going, or into USD, and then spend it on some other shiny things, I guess, something else. So we've had this, we've had such a long downtrend here on the SLP, and this is what we all get right from running scholarships, is what everyone's looking at. How much passive income can we make from running the scholarships? So I think it's like 92% down from its all-time high back in July. So this is where it was the Axie mania. It was going crazy, right? We did look at this in the last video where we made that lower high from here, broke down below that 50 moving average, and then just have never been able to get above it since. It's every time we've touched that 50, just can't get above it. So we did for a second, didn't get the golden cross. This is where I thought we were going to break. And I think this is the old one here where I thought we would come back down, start creating that new market structure. Again, we hit this level of resistance. You can see here, big wicks to the upside, wicks to the upside. I was never happy with SLP until we started closing above that 29.36 ETHs level, which I drew in here. So I was hoping that we'd consolidate sideways in the box after breaking such a long downtrend. Sort of how trends work. So you break a long downtrend, consolidate sideways, then start creating that new market structure with higher highs and higher lows, and we start going bullish again, and it can go on its next run. We fell out pretty quick, and I think a lot of this is because the ETH BTC pairing went on a run, right? So when BTC goes on a run, the BTC pairings, all the alts paired against BTC, get crushed. Same thing here. When ETH is going on this run, the SLP versus ETH just got crushed the same way. So while ETH's tearing, it's great for ETH, great for breeding, not so great for your monthly or fortnightly claims. And again, we look at this in the USD version, you can see that the USD version hasn't gone down anywhere near as much. 30%, still not great in that period. But if you're looking at this, let's have a look. We're sitting at like nearly 50%. So the reason why we haven't dropped the full 50 is because ETH has been performing so well against Bitcoin and giving us that nice SLP USD price. So if we're looking at this, not as many people will be looking at the ETH pairing as the USD price, especially just random traders and people on Binance, which is where this is listed. So what I'm looking at, this still the same chart, and we're still in that same box. My preferred area of taking profit is always going to be from the 16 to 23. I'm going to be taking it there pretty much every time, no matter what. But we've broken this long downtrend, and it was sort of sitting in this, this sort of just wedge on the way down. We've broken that, and now we're doing that sideways walk. And the sideways walk is good as long as we don't break that lowest point and fall out of this box. So as long as we're not closing and breaking down below this, was it 6.17 cents? I'm happy to keep sort of moving sideways. If we get down to the bottom, I've had an alert set here. I would still be trying to trade this between here and the top of the box. It's a good, on the way back up, buying from here is a good 70% difference, right? So for my trader hat, I'm going to be looking to trade. We didn't quite get there. I didn't get that alert set off, so I didn't get anything set up. But if we do come back down, I will still be looking to buy to get back to the top of the box. So from this, walking sideways for as long as we possibly can, and then make that next move. But until we break this, and I've got the alert set here, until we break this and close above and start creating that higher low and then a new higher high, I haven't got much else to really say against SLP. If it breaks this level, we're looking at 3.5 cents. It's a pretty historic value on the Uniswap pairing. So see how it goes. Things cannot go down forever. We do need to get some sort of new market structure at some point. But even in here, your ROI for breeding and getting your money back from a scholarship from a scholar that can hold 12 to 1400 MMR, 150 SLP a day, which is not too hard to ask. You're still only looking at 4 months before you completely recoup your 100%, and then after that it's all profit. So 300% a year is not too bad as an ROI for not having to send out a few codes and sync every couple of weeks. Not completely passive, but still pretty good. AXS. All right, this is the BTC pairing. I don't know why that one's there. Let's look at the USD pairings. I think this is what we were looking at before. All right, 10 minutes in, nearly ready to finish with the charts, and we'll go have a look at some other things I've been looking at too. So AXS, again, if we look at the daily, this is where I've drawn the box from the daily. I just had it zoomed into the 4 hour. Let me get to the bottom of these, right? So we've got all these wicks to the upside every time we try and get past $140, right? It's a huge level of resistance, big round number. And every time we've got there, the sellers are ready to sell, ready to push back down, push back down, push back down. However, we're starting to just close more and more now, and not as many wicks and not as much indecision in a lot of these candles. We're getting these solid candles now. We did try to break out again, but we're closing these daily candles a bit better inside this box. So again, like the same way as I was talking about SLP after we had this, that long downtrend, on SLP, and we're sitting here watching a downtrend, then we break, we sort of get consolidation, and then we start making new market structure. We've done sort of the opposite here, but the same kind of consolidation. If I can make this so I can delete that. Where we've had that big run up, and now we're just sort of cooling off, consolidating, just waiting for that next move. So below, if we start closing below 115, I'm going to be bearish for a little bit, but pretty much only down to this next level, probably around about here, where we've got plenty of support. So only down to the 81. It's still a pretty decent drop. But really what I'm looking for is to start closing above this 138. I'll probably expand this out a little bit. And once we start closing above here, looking for that next leg up. Daily, we still got, plenty of room. Weekly, I'm pretty sure it's just been oversold forever since it came out. It's had an absolutely, amazing run, AXS. But it's 1, 2, do we come back down and go for that third leg and then start drawing some Elliott waves on there? But at the moment, the APR on the staking is still like 128%. And I think AXS has still got plenty of room to move. Sky Mavis and everyone at Axie has got plenty of things going to be coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. And the amount that's probably pouring back in the treasury to keep that staking pool going. If you can get 100% APR on something that's got a good chance of not losing too much of its value over a year. Like you can pretty much lose nearly all of its value and you're still going to make money at this point, just because the APR is so high. But obviously don't want that to happen. But all my AXS that I'm not using for breeding at the moment, and I'm not expanding crazy either, where I'm starting to run low on AXS or SLP. Because I can just leave so much of the AXS in the staking at like 130%. I'm getting free breeds worth of AXS, so over half my cost of my breed is just getting there for free by just leaving it in the staking pool. So I'm very keen to see what Ronin and the Dex does. Hopefully we see some cool stuff into there for staking SLP as well. Just try and stop a little bit of this downwards consistent selling pressure that we're seeing from the ratio of the burn rate. So this is probably a good time to jump into this chart. Same thing. We are minting less, and it's probably because a lot of people have just seen seen the news on the wall with the 800 MMR, and that there would have been a lot of people with some pretty terrible scholarship teams that are now forced to be like, okay, I'm going to try and floor sell them for 0.03 is what the floor is at the moment now for absolute trash. And people are probably getting rid of a lot of those Axies, and they're not going to be making that 75 every day in the arena and for the daily reward. Like they wouldn't be getting anything under the 800 MMR, but they're still getting that 75. So taking a lot of that out of the circulation is a pretty controversial topic, where people are like, well, we've spent this money on these Axies, and a lot of people probably bought those floor Axies for like nearly 0.2 ETH. I was floor selling a bunch for 0.19 that were just chops, trash Axies that I had sort of lying around that from when I didn't know how to breed back in July. So a lot of those people will just never get that money back. They can't earn SLP, and they can basically sell them for 20% of the price that they paid for them. So controversial topic, but for the long term, we need less minted and more burned, for the good of the whole community in the whole game, and to keep these scholarships being profitable. It also really pushes people to be breeding a lot better, and probably jump into that next part, which is how much it's currently costing in ETH versus what you're getting for the floor. So I think I said at the last video I was happy with it being more punishing to breed. Now people aren't breeding trash Axies anymore, they're breeding good Axies, and they're not wasting any AXS or SLP, which does slow down the that chart that we had before that we were watching here. It is stopping the breeding and the burning here, because people aren't just breeding anything anymore, because there is that punishment now that if it's costing you 0.052, you need to be selling for at least that, if not more, for it to be profitable. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just buy from the marketplace? So breeding getting a bit trickier. Been using this quite a bit. I'm breeding double aqua with I think I got yams and leaf bugs and some carrot cactus, just with pumpkin and cereus across. But mostly just been breeding the kois and nemos and just doing double aqua teams. They're nice and easy to breed. Don't have to think too much about it. And the price seems to be pretty good. Like I got some pretty good printers, and so most of my breeds are coming out 98 plus, and getting a fair few hundreds in there as well. So still very profitable to be breeding those. You can see here most of them are selling for about 0.17. And even when you're getting the 99s, they're still, even the 98s, 99s, they're still selling for nearly double what it's costing to breed. So using that analyzer quite a bit. Nemo's dropping a bit at the moment in volume and price. Seeing the same kind of thing here as well. You can disregard that last day. I'm recording this not that long after sync, so this other day hasn't come, doesn't really count in this graph here. So we're still looking at an average price of 0.12, so you're still making enough that if you're breeding 4 times, you can sell the worst 2 as long as they're not below that 97, and you're getting 2 free breeds, and then re-rolling the ETH that you get from these, buying more AXS, buying more SLP if you need it, and then just re-rolling, and you're basically getting 2 free scholarship teams every 5 days for each set of those that you're doing. So still quite profitable to breed. I was hoping that the price of these would be trending upwards rather than downwards, because we're still getting the trend down, like 0.12. At the start of the month we were like 0.2, so has dropped significantly in the price. Volume, however, kicking up a little bit, so volume is still good. You can still sell these. They're not taking that long to sell, and if you're getting 0.12 for selling them as sort of an average, you're still making 0.07 ETH per breed, or getting yourself 2 free scholarships. And that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment with breeding, and then just sort of sitting on my SLP at the moment. or using that part to be breeding as well, and just re-rolling this ETH back into AXS, staking it, and then just taking it out of the staking as I need to breed every 14 days. Get my sinks and then use that SLP. So at the moment for me, really good way of expanding, and want to be expanding while SLP is sort of in that consolidation mode, and then we'll start looking at trying to take profits after that. So that's pretty much about what I'm doing, trader, manager, and breeder. But just picking the right things to breed. I need to go through when I have a bit more time and find some, some other Axies that have got a decent amount of volume, that are also, pretty good to breed. Like and when I say that, I mean the difference in the price here, costing you 0.052. Trying to find some breeds that are starting to trend up in price, and also holding the volume here. So need to get in one day, and when I do that, I'll record and I'll try and make up a video about how I'm using the market analyzer. But it's a very good tool. So everybody that is a member EBC, taking advantage of it, making sure you're not selling your things too cheap. They might take a couple of days to sell, but average price. Looking at historical prices here. And you can jump in and see. Super easy to see what kind of things that you're looking at. So 100%. What have we got here? A good 100%, but not the best. It's still got shrimp on the bottom. And that's still selling quite well. 417. All right. That will be it for me. We'll start the Q&A after this video is finished publishing. Hopefully that was pretty insightful for everyone, sort of what I'm doing as a manager breeder, what I'm looking at for the charts. And yeah, talk to you guys in there.